Okay, thanks everybody. I'd just like to say, thank you very much to Julie, who has put so much into this. I don't know, the good thing about tonight is that there's not very many people that were here last time. That's absolutely great because everybody else from last time's gone off, done their own research, probably doesn't need to come back. So it's great to see so many new faces. Julie and I have got new projects and I'm moving down south. Julie's got her own things going. Carl, who very kindly is filming tonight, is going to sort of take over doing events here. If you would like to leave your contact details at the desk when you leave, then he'll inform you of anything else that's going on here. Carl, you've got Frank Willis, haven't you?
Yeah, 20th of October.
Yeah. 20th of October. Frank is an ex-mercenary who was extremely surprised to find out that his wages were being paid by the Vatican. He's doing a presentation on music and the soul.
Music and human soul, yeah.
Music and the soul. He's a very, very interesting guy. He's got a lot to say. And if you'd like to leave your details, we'll let you know what's going on in future. But thank you all for coming, and I'll leave you to Ian.
So just before I get into the second half, I do a plug for the project that keeps me poor. Anybody here heard of Edge Media? Sky Channel 200? Yeah? Okay. Well, we're trucking along. On Sunday, we're doing a whole day, obviously, of 9/11 material, stuff that you won't be seeing on the BBC. And between 6 and 9, we have a live debate. Although debate is probably the wrong word, because would you believe we cannot find anybody who wants to come on and defend the official version of events? It's amazing. It's incredible. You know, all these people who pump out the official story of 9/11, and yet when you ask them or give them the opportunity to come and debate it and present their evidence to support their claims, they don't want to know. But anyway, Edge Media survives through a combination of things like donations. So there's a sweetie tin here. If I can put that somewhere, maybe at the back table, and if you got whatever you got, even if it's just a few coppers, literally every little helps. You know, we basically run on almost volunteer labour. All the money basically goes on paying guest expenses, and every now and again we need a piece of technical equipment. We are very, very fortunate. The guy who actually owns the channel, who wishes to remain anonymous, was offered $250,000 for the channel number, or 200, and he told them that he wasn't interested in selling. And for the time being, he's paying £26,000 a month that it costs us to keep the channel on the air. That's what it costs, literally, in terms of the uplink and satellite time each month. So, this is not a cheap project. I mean, we have assured him that at some future date, we have every intention that the channel will be self-sufficient. But, I mean, that, unfortunately, is a long way off. But, we can't keep taking advantage. So, if you know anybody who wants to advertise, we do TV advertising on the Sky satellite system at local radio rates. In fact, we're cheaper than a lot of local radio stations. So, it's advertising. We're putting documentaries up for people. We charge them to put documentaries up, but they're documentaries that there's no way, obviously, they get played out on the mainstream channels. And it's not very much. I mean, if somebody wants to put a show together, we're charging about £500 an hour for people to put a show. So, it's getting there, and if you would like to help in any way, shape or form, maybe some of you are helping already, because I know we have a few people who make regular donations. But if I can leave that by Sarah Jane, could you take care of this for me?
Okay, yeah.
So, big down the back. Thank you. Thanks. And of course, at the end, please have a browse of DVDs if you want to see some of the other material they cover. And finally, on the basis that I've got to get back to Sheffield, but at least a reasonable hour, because sometime between now and 10 o'clock in the morning I've got to write the summation. So if there's a few hands that could help me with getting the kit downstairs and getting in the car, that'd be much appreciated. So okay, we're going to talk about 45 minutes or so, and let's see where this is going. So here we go, this is unfolding. I'm not sure if any of you saw the interview that I gave on Edge Media about 2 weeks after the invasion. Of course, the invasion was March the 20th. It was an invasion. But this was the start of the humanitarian intervention. Sorry, the kinetic humanitarian intervention, whatever the fuck that means. But it was March the 20th. And once again, ironically, of course, this is the same day, but 8 years on, as the invasion of Iraq was launched, March 20th. It's another occult festival day. Goddess War, Astarte. And this is unfolding. I said all along that the target of the Arab Spring was Libya all along. The whole idea of the Arab Spring was to build up a head of steam so that when they went into Libya, it would just be like the next domino falling. Because if you remember, prior to the invasion of Iraq in 2003, millions of people, literally all around the world, hit the streets to protest against the invasion of a sovereign nation. Because Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11, even though that's what's being taught in American schools now, by the way. But Iraq had nothing at all to do with 9/11. Millions of people hit the streets. This time round, they wanted to do to Libya what they'd done to Iraq, but they wanted to avoid all the millions of people protesting. So they create the Arab Spring to run over a period of about 4 months, and then they go for Libya. One of my colleagues was even more prescient because he wrote a book called Mapping the New Millennium in 1998. It's Terry Boardman's, a couple of his DVDs. I had him speak at a couple of alternative view conferences. And he wrote this book, Mapping the New Millennium, and in that book he stated that the New World Order would go for Libya in 2011. So they got that pretty much on the way, didn't they? Well, earlier this year, there was a lot of outcry in the US about the invasion of Libya. A lot of people in the US, of course, do not support the hegemonic agenda of the US government. But of course, it's not the US government, it's ostensibly the transnationals, the global corporatists. It's just that the US is effectively their mercenary army. But there was so much protest in the US and in the US media about the attack on Libya, because of course, this means that Obama has launched more attacks on more nations than George W. Bush. And this is the guy who got the Nobel Peace Prize before he got into office. Of course, Tony Blair's getting the next Peace Prize. So they needed to do something to get this off of the front pages of the media in the US. Now, there was a little issue that has been dragging on in the US for the best part of the last 6 years. And so somebody obviously came up with the bright idea that they would actually use this issue to take Libya off the front pages. And that was the little issue of a birth certificate. And of course, this isn't a big issue outside of the US. No one really gives a damn. But inside the US, this is an ongoing debate about whether or not Obama has the basic right to be president, because obviously to be president you have to be born within the United States. And because he's been somewhat slow in producing the birth certificate, there's a lot of speculation that of course the birth certificate can't be produced because he wasn't actually born in the United States. Barry Soetoro, born in Kenya. Anyway, somebody obviously took the decision that this was an opportunity to get the birth certificate out, and then it would have the dual effect of shutting down the debate about Libya in the media and close off the birth certificate issue once and for all. People could just see that this guy is indeed a true blue US national. There's only one problem. When this birth certificate appeared on the Friday night, Obama was actually holding a fundraiser. Donald Trump was actually in the audience, and Donald Trump was one of the most vociferous and vocal critics about the birth certificate issue. And Obama said, you know, Donald, now you're going to have to come up with something else, because tonight I've put the birth certificate out there and the issue is finished. The only problem was, Obama obviously hadn't realised that the birth certificate that had been put together, that had been posted on the White House website, was in 9 layers. So anybody who had even the rudimentary knowledge of Photoshop or any other, you know, photo manipulation package, the moment they opened it, it took them 3.5 nanoseconds to establish that it was a forgery. What I think happened is, I think, you see, they gave the project to somebody who they trusted. Somebody who'd been around a long time, who they knew they could trust with a project like this and would never say anything. Probably somebody, say, about my age, in their mid-50s. The only problem with asking somebody in their mid-50s to do this kind of stuff is that basically, you know, you've got enough knowledge to be dangerous when it comes to computing, but you're not really that competent. If you really want to get a product that is absolutely the finished article, and there's no risk of anybody making a stupid mistake, like it having 9 layers, you need somebody who's about 14. Right? Well, I think they obviously hadn't got anybody that was 14 that they could use to do the job, so they got somebody who was a bit long in the tooth, and they didn't know enough about Photoshop to flatten the document before they posted it. So it's in 9 layers. So, the Saturday was all about this. And by Saturday evening, what was in the media in the US was the fact that the birth certificate that had been posted on the White House website was a forgery. Damn, now they needed something else. They needed something even bigger to get the birth certificate issue off of the front pages. You remember what that was? They needed to kill Osama bin Laden for at least the 3rd time. Of course, there's a hell of a lot of people in the George W. Bush government who actually believed that he was dead before the end of 2001 from kidney failure. Died in a hospital in the United Arab Emirates. But then, of course, there was Benazir Bhutto. And Benazir Bhutto, in 2007, November 2007, gave a very famous interview with David Frost. You can find this interview on YouTube. And during the course of that interview, she actually makes the statement, she says that Omar Sheikh had murdered Osama bin Laden. Now, David Frost, being the very experienced interviewer that he is, of course should have said, hang on a second, can you run that by me again? Omar Sheikh murdered Osama bin Laden? No, but like I said, David Frost is a very experienced interviewer, so he let it go straight over the top of his head. He knew well enough not to go there, to let that one lie. And of course, a few weeks later, Benazir Bhutto herself was assassinated, quite possibly because she had broken the golden rule. And that is that when you're part of this inner sanctum, you do not, in any way, shape or form, reveal any of these secrets. So of course we have the mission to go and get Osama bin Laden from this luxury compound in Abbottabad in Pakistan. And of course we saw the pictures of Barry Soetoro, sitting in the office with his team, watching the live feed. But of course the live feed suddenly went dead just before they got into the compound. And then of course we have all sorts of stories. You know, because one story is that the SEAL team, Navy SEAL Team 6, went into the compound, they captured Osama bin Laden, you know, he was in his underwear. Another story is he was hiding behind his wife. One story is he was shot in the bedroom. Another story is he was taken outside and executed outside. And then of course, he was buried at sea. Buried at sea. Well, I've actually come across the video footage of what actually happened. And this puts all conspiracy theories to rest.